Yo, what up guys, Raynday here. Welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today I'm breaking down some serious Paladins knowledge about the comeback mechanic. Now what's the comeback mechanic, right? If you've seen Paladins esports, you've heard myself and Nick talk about the comeback mechanic. In fact, every caster analyst has to mention it because it plays a huge role in the game. But most people have no idea what it is, or what it does, or why it's important, and maybe even more important than even those who know about it think it is. And this episode I'm going to break down my thoughts on the comeback mechanic so you know what it is, and also might be able to find some new strategies to help you win more games. It sounds like a stretch, but it's not, trust me. Let's get into the basics of the comeback mechanic. So let's say that you're doing well in Paladins. You and your team capture the objective and go up 1-0. Then you begin to push the payload. That payload gets so far along that actually you win a good team fight and you've secured the payload and now are leading 2-0. Heading into the next round, that's when the comeback mechanic starts to activate. As a result of this mechanic, because you are leading by 2 points, you will stand on the objective and capture at a rate of 3% per tick while you are standing. But the team who is down by 2 points will capture at a rate of 4% per tick. And trust me, this is a lot faster. What it basically means is they have to win one fight, one skirmish, push you away for a little bit, and if they've been standing on the objective that entire time, the point will be captured. And in other words, it also means that you guys can't be even in that fight in round 2. You actually have to play better than them, and you have to stand on the objective for much longer than they would have. Meaning, in another way, they have to do much less to get more. Comeback mechanics handicaps, they exist in sports and they exist in a lot of other things. I mean, imagine if you're playing basketball or some favorite family sport of yours with a little cousin or a little nephew or niece. What are you going to do? Make them score as many points as you do? Maybe you'll make their points worth 3 or 4 so you can make it even if you're playing a game like basketball or soccer, and that way it's fun for both of you. Usually when handicaps like that in sports are applied, or games like that though, there is a static, consistent element that is not going to change. For instance, your niece is going to be 10 years younger than you no matter what when you're playing that game. However, in Paladins, the comeback mechanic is very fluid. The fact that they're down by 2 points could have just meant that they had a bad round, bad coordination, they started wrong, and the map was very punishing with the lineup that they had. Maybe the next round they're just as competent or a better team as far as matchmaking, elo is concerned, and they actually should be winning. The best example of this is professional play, where we take a team like Na'Vi who can go 2-0 over Fnatic, but then Fnatic, with the caliber of players they have, Bugsy, Jera, Fisheko, the incredible talent that they've got, they don't need to capture faster than Na'Vi in order to have a chance to win that next objective, but they do anyways, thanks to the comeback mechanic. So more times than not, you will see 2 O's with good teams become 2 1s because that third objective is so hard to win, with the extra advantage being given to a team that's already even in terms of skill. So say we move along and the game is at 3-2. At that point, the comeback mechanic still exists, even though you're not down by 2 points. It's just the lesser comeback mechanic. It means that every single time you're on the objective, you capture for 3% per tick, and then 4% per tick, then 3% per tick, and then 4% per tick. It's alternating instead of 4-4-4-4, which is the comeback mechanic capture rate, or 3-3-3-3, which is the basic capture rate. Bit of a middle ground, so to speak. Although these topics are minute, they're very important as to the outcome of the actual Paladins game. Let's take a look at the strategy of the comeback mechanic and see how you can use it to be more successful. First off, being down 2-0 ain't a bad thing. Get that in your head. Being down 3-1, that ain't bad either. You have a chance to capture the objective at a much faster rate, do a lot less, and get a lot more. Once you get that momentum after capturing an objective and then capturing another one, even if you started down 2-0, it starts to tilt the game pace in your favor, and you start to realize what's actually working. Teams on the other side get very discouraged when they start losing after being ahead. I know, as I do, because it's very frustrating not to close out games. So if you have the comeback mechanic, use it, enjoy it, know that you don't have to be perfect and you could still come out as a victor. In my opinion, I'd rather have a 3-2 going into the last round than a 3-3. I honestly would, because of the fact that if they win and they've got 3 points, they're going to win the game no matter what, whether I'm 3-3 or 3-2. The most important thing though is if I'm 3-2, I can have the lesser comeback mechanic on my side. It'll be easier for me to capture the point. I can do less and get more. And then I get first dibs at actually pushing the payload and winning the game 4-3. So not only is it easier for me to capture, I then have the only chance for 2.5 minutes to basically stake my claim as the victor. Now, what's worrying about this is to get to these situations, you usually have to let a payload go through on your end to give them that 2-point advantage, that cushion, so you can fight with the comeback mechanic as you are making your comeback. This is where a lot of players get a little worried because they don't want to go down 2-0. There's something in the numbers that just feels bad. I'm down by 2 points. They can win the game. It's 3-1. But at the end of the day, it's still a point fight. They've still got to beat you, and you've got a whole lot more to work with than they do. And honestly, if they beat you and that's the case and you have comeback mechanic, they deserve to win, in my opinion. That's like the clearest victory that can be had. So you have to choose to save your ultimates to let that payload go through if things are looking bad after round 1 and take that 2-0. If you don't, then you are not utilizing the comeback mechanic to your favor. If you do believe that it was just a mess up, if you feel pretty even, if at the get-go they had never really pushed the payload that far anyways and you guys have been zoning them forever, then don't worry. You probably are better than the team, and next round, even if it's 1-1, you will continue to capture. You might just have made a mistake that last round that meant they got the point instead of you. Obviously, take your own situation into account, but if you're looking at this like, hey, I'm about to get 2-0, let me waste everything in my kit right now, use all my ultimates, and do that just so it doesn't happen, think again. It's not that bad. Head into the next round with ults and the fact that you capture 4% each tick instead of 3, and you're going to be looking good. And if you're going to use your ults, I wouldn't. Honestly, just save it for the next round unless you are absolutely sure they're not going to push this through, because if you waste your ults and then you have a 2-0 round anyway, you would have been so much better off having that type of game-changing power with the comeback mechanic on your side. You just go straight to the point, you stand there, say what up, and by the time they even have an idea of the fight going on, you're already 70% captured. Now let's talk about the other mechanic in Paladins that also makes the comeback mechanic that much more valuable. In Paladins, every time you capture the objective, you earn 300 credits. In this game, 300 credits means a tier 1 item of any color, the red, the yellow, the green, the blue. That's usually 300 credits. The only other ones are Deft Hands and Chronos, which are actually 400 credits apiece. These credits go to every single member on your team, so each person gets that 300 bonus, which means you get 1,500 credits in terms of your total team's net worth ahead of your enemy every time you capture the objective. Now think about this. In the comeback mechanic, what happens is they capture the first objective and they push it 2-0. You are down 2-0, and so then next point, you capture. Who's captured the objectives the most? At that point, it's 1-1. Heading into the next round, though, they're up 3-1, and that means that you still have the highest level of comeback mechanic possible. If you capture that objective, not only now are you 3-2, but you're actually ahead in terms of net worth. You have all earned 600 credits off of objectives, and that team, even though they're winning, has only earned 300 credits. I mean, whoever gets cauterized 3 first is a big power spike because that really shuts down a lot of healing. Whoever can get rejuvenates after that is a big power spike because it gets a lot of that healing back. If you're able to do that in your net worth, even though you're down in terms of points, you're actually in control of the game more than they are. Now let's take a quick break here and say I'm on defense now. 3-2, this team has captured 2 points in a row. I've only captured 1 objective, and now I've been on defense more than I've been on offense in this round. Let us say that this starts to look bad. Let's just let them push it through. Let's leave it at a 3-3. I do not want to put all my effort into defending here. We don't lose the game. They don't have the comeback mechanic next round, and we could all be even in terms of how we capture the objective. That's how I look at 3-2s at this point on the defensive end, so if that helps you, then go ahead and use that strategy. Now, back to the person who is on the comeback mechanic side. So it's 3-2. Let's say that that team actually defends instead of taking my advice. They say Raynday's video sucked. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Cool. You guys go back, and now it's 3-2. You've got a lesser comeback mechanic, so you're still capturing faster, and you've got a credit bonus, so you have a net worth higher than them. Your items are more fleshed out. You are more equipped to win. You make a couple of nice plays. You capture the objective. It's 3-3, and now guess what? You have captured 3 objectives and 900 credits, a full tier 3 item ahead of your opponents, and it is tied up, and you have a chance to win the game. And this all started from a 2-0. Starting to see how impactful the comeback mechanic can be? Yeah, it's a big deal. Delving into this more and more, I started to encourage players who were aware of it to start the conversation amongst themselves as far as strategy. Do we want to let teams, instead of being 3-2 and holding and using all of our stuff, just push it 3-3 and take a gamble on that last point? Is it to our advantage to not give a team who's evenly matched and a great competitor on the other side who wants to win this tournament any other advantage as far as capture rate? Should we just say, let's just throw it all to this and make sure we fight evenly and feel good about that? I think at this point, you have to start having these conversations with yourself, your teammates, and if you're on a pro team, with your pro teammates and your coaches, because it is a very, very important decision to make. And this isn't just a strategic decision. There are real life consequences and benefits to the fact that frustration can be felt on the side of a team fighting against the comeback mechanic over and over again. It could feel very helpless because this mechanic is actually invented and put into place to hurt your chances at winning the objective because you're already winning. It sucks, but that's the case. Another big component is momentum. When I was playing soccer, either at UCLA for the 4 years I was there, or maybe even earlier in my life, or maybe a little bit later, I found that momentum was one of the biggest things that determined determined my ability to succeed. When I got going, man, I was unstoppable. But getting going was probably the hardest part. The comeback mechanic is inherently just something that gets the enemy team going, or the losing team going, that they don't have to ever worry about. And it's very powerful if you start to win one point, win another point, you're losing, but you've won these points, you're feeling like I can win this game, and that starts to change your whole mentality, how you play. Now let's take a look at criticism for the comeback mechanic, because I think there are a lot of people who have questioned this mechanic before and wanted to open up conversations, at least open up the door to say, is this something that we really want in the game? Now my response to this is you have to be crazy. You have to be crazy. Of course you want it in the game, but maybe there is something to do about it. The reason I say of course you want it in the game is because you have never played a game with Paladins without it. Pretty much most people who play the game right now always, even if you didn't know the comeback mechanic exists, have utilized the comeback mechanic, have had it utilized against you, and you're still playing. That means that whatever the systems are in place here have been working, they have been successful, and they have made games interesting enough for you to come back and care about things like videos about Paladins on the internet. It's just a scary thing to change. Who knows what it actually is like to not have the comeback mechanic in Paladins? Who knows what it's like to not have a chance to win that second objective when you go down 2-0? Maybe that's part of the reason we love the game. The competitiveness, it is certainly a highly competitive game, Paladins, in a lot of different facets. Maybe this helps to blend that competitiveness into a casual nature so that everyone can compete. Who knows? I mean, I'm not really sure. I don't have an answer for you, and feel free to make a conjecture down in the comments below. But to me, this is a very interesting point that at least should have some discussion around it. I'm not a fan of removing it. I'm not a fan of saying this is bad. I'm just a fan of people knowing about it and hopefully playing with it, playing around it, because I think if you don't know about it, it is something that could be upping your level of game. You could be realizing that this game is not over when you think it's over on a score sheet. Or you could be realizing that you're actually in the lead when you think that you're down just because the score says 3-2, but you're actually up 600, 900 credits over the enemy team. All in all, this conversation has been really fun to have with you guys this morning. And if you did wake up, or if you're just in your afternoon listening to it, let me know what you guys think below. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you do want to get my uploads for Paladins or other content on the channel. And also, make sure to have a good day. Whatever you got to do to have a good day, make sure you do it. Maybe taking some time for yourself, maybe watching a TV show, maybe going and working out. Whatever you got to do it, boo-boo. It's your life. Enjoy it. So, ancient technology core to the civilization that is Paladins, that is the realm, or something that should be discussed, maybe take it apart and looked at if it could be improved. The comeback mechanic video, it's here. Thanks for watching. Remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.